TitleMatchNetwork.com.
WWF, I'm trying to figure out a nice way to word this. At the time, WWF, there were some questionable people up in the front office. There was some talk of homosexuality, and I'm sure it's common knowledge to people who watch your videos or hear stories about Vince and Pat Patterson and Terry Garvin and Jim Barnett was there at the time. So I think it's not something they're new that they're hearing from me. There was a little bit of pressure for me to go in that direction from the
office guys,
from the office personnel. You know, I don't want to get into the graphic details, but I never succumbed to that. You know, because I told one of the road agents or one of the higher ups up there, and I said, listen, I'd rather pump gas on the Jersey Turnpike because I'm the one that's got to look at myself in the mirror every fucking day. I said, so forget about it. I said, take your offer and shove it up your ass.
Wow. So guys, obviously, I guess presented an offer to you and you just declined it.
Well, yeah, I declined it. But what happened was this one particular individual was, he was working me before I knew what working was.
Right.
And he except in the ring. And, you know, he built it up like, hey, listen, Jim, I got to speak to you about something. Hey, listen, Jim, I got to speak to you about something. Listen, Jim, I got something for you. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be good news, you know. And here we were in Toronto in Holiday Inn, and all the boys just go to the bar, and the bar was packed because, you know, all the marks knew that we were there, and it was just fucking. So that was, and the music is blaring, you know, disco music or whatever it was, and you know, that was a particular time that he calls me over and he goes, Jim, I want to discuss this. What I've been trying to talk to you, what I've been telling you about for the last couple of weeks. So he was like building me up. So he told me that he had some work for me where I could make some money. I said, that's great. I'm looking to work. I said, I want to make some money. Well, the work he had in mind for me wasn't nothing to do in the wrestling ring. So that's when I told him, I said, I'd rather pump gas on the Jersey Turnpike. And then I didn't hear from anybody from the office for a while. Maybe a couple months. I got a call from Jim Troy, who used to be Vince's right-hand man at one time. And Jim Troy, it was brought to his attention by Piper. I think it was Piper. No, Piper went to Vince, but Jim Troy calls me because Vince told him to call me. I said, Jim, he says, I understand the f***s up here have been trying to work you. I said, work? No, I said, I didn't know what work meant. You know, I was so green, you know. I says, no, I said, I'm actually looking for work. I'd like to work. I said, I haven't heard from anybody, and it's got to be like a month and a half, 2 months now. He says, well, don't worry about it. He says, as of right now, you're going to be booked. You're going to be booked full time. I said, okay, great. Well, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know how this all came about, because usually they'd just be done with me.
Right.
You know, wash their hands and done with me. Come to find out that guy I consider a very good friend in the wrestling business, and I know Jim Powers is friends with Roddy Piper. He really is. I got his number on my phone, so that for what that's worth. But anyway, Roddy Piper, if anyone knows about Roddy's history, Roddy was a street kid. Roddy was out on his own from the age of 16, maybe younger. So maybe Roddy, I think I don't want to say anything. And Roddy had to do whatever he had to do to survive on the streets. You know, Roddy was a survivor. I tell people Roddy Piper was rowdy way before he got into wrestling. Well, anyway, I guess when Roddy got heard about this, it kind of rubbed him the wrong way. He was very uncomfortable. Didn't like it. So he went to Vince. He says, Vince, and this is a quote from him. He says, Vince, he says, what do we got running over here? Royal Wrestling. You know, so that's when Vince contacted Jim Troy, and Jim Troy contacted me. And I thank Roddy for that on many occasions, you know, for helping me out like that, because that could have been the period at the end of the career called Jim Powers.
Wow.
Why I didn't get the push? Probably political. There was a situation, political being because I didn't kiss the right ass. The right people, the higher ups didn't like me enough. I had the thing that I talked about earlier, that with the proposition of the homosexuality and stuff back in the day. So they don't forget. They don't forget shit. It's always there in their little computer. And there was a situation where Vince was at the big steroid scandal. I think it was in the early 90s maybe it was 90 exactly. Yeah. And they wanted me to go to New York. And I did go to New York and meet with one of their attorneys, or the attorney's assistant, I think it was an attorney. And he says to me, we'd like to put you on stand to, would you be willing to, and they went through all the boys with this, would you be willing to get on stand and talk about Vince McMahon, talk about the company, and talk about the steroid thing and all that? It's a doctor in Pennsylvania that everyone knows about, Zahorian and all that. I said, sure. I says, I have no problem getting in front of a judge, getting on the stand. He said, but I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell all the shit that goes on up there that I'm aware of. And when I went into some of the gory details, the lawyer said to me, "Hold on a second." So he left the room. He left me in there. And I know what I understand. He went to make a phone call. He would call Vince's main attorney. I forget his name right now. McDivitt. Yeah, he called McDivitt. From what I understand, he called McDivitt, and McDivitt's like, that lawyer came back in the office in New York. He says, "Oh, we don't need you. We're done with you." And that was it. So I mean, that would have been one of the things that held me back. So it wasn't a matter of my work, because there's guys out there.
It was political.
Yeah, it's political.